Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great NASIG so far. We only have a half hour for this session, so I want to get started as soon as possible. This is our new to NASIG Committee session. Typically at our conferences, we have a space where the committee chairs will get together informally and offer sort of a drop-in session for new members or returning members or current members to just come and ask about the committees. So we thought this would be a nice chance to sort of give an overview of what the committees are, what it means to volunteer with a NASIG committee, and what you have to do that. So my internet is a little spotty at the moment, so I'm going to turn my video off while I present, but I'll try to come back for questions at the end. If you need or would like to use the captions, there's an option at the bottom of the Zoom, and you can turn those on, and we'll take Q&A at the end, but I'll get going because there is a lot to cover here. So if you've been in some of the other sessions, or if you were at the members forum, if you're a new member, I just want to give a brief overview about what NASIG is, what we do. I'm not going to read you the whole slide. If you'd like to get in more depth on the slides, they are posted in SCED. But NASIG is an independent nonprofit organization. We are an all-volunteer organization. We're a provider of conference and continuing education programming, and we are engaged partner in developing best practices and standards. Now, all of those that I just listed is a community. So basically, we are publishers, we are library workers, we are federal library workers, we are scholarly communications, we are sponsors and vendors, and we're all working towards a common goal. And one quote that was shared early in the conference in SCED is from Susan Deos-Bartle, one of our one member who has been to all 40 NASIG conferences. And she shared that NASIG was founded to provide opportunities for all parties in the information chain to engage in respectful and mutually beneficial dialogue. It is, in my opinion, a core value of this organization that we must never lose. And that is sort of one of our core reasons for being here, just to keep these lines of communication open between everyone sharing sort of a common goal. So if you're interested in being involved more with NASIG, or you're enjoying this conference and you just want to learn more, I would just like to say that the committees are always open to everyone. I'm going to put a link in the chat here. This is a link to our committee's homepage, and you can click there and you'll see a list of all of the committees. And if you click into each individual one, it will tell you the charge of the committee and what that committee is responsible for. So it's a place for everyone to share their talents. What's required to be on a NASIG committee? Really, the only requirement is that you have a NASIG membership for the length of your committee term. What experience do you need? Well, I've listed here none. You don't need any. Just come and join us. Get experience, network, or through I have served on every committee. Maybe I have served on every committee more than once. Maybe I have served on the board. Maybe I have been on a task group. So we have a wide range of members at all experience levels that are on our committees. Most of the committee terms are for 2 years, and they turn over at the time of the annual conference. So basically they run about June, July through May of June. And there are a few exceptions to that, which I will get into when we look into the actual committees. So if you're wondering, well, what's a NASIG membership, and can I afford to be a NASIG membership? What do I get? Well, in addition to what you receive with being able to be on a committee is, of course, the networking. You get discounts to all of the NASIG conferences and webinars. You also get reduced rates for NISO and SSP events, and of course, access to the membership directory. And NASIG has several tiers of membership. Individual, lifetime, international, organizational, retirees, free student memberships, which is really great. And I'll put a link to this in the chat. If you want to explore a little further, you can do that. As I said, the student memberships are free, but students are also more than welcome to be on our committees. So let's learn about the different committees. The first committees I'm going to talk about are our planning committees for the conference, the annual conference. So the Conference Planning Committee plans and coordinates site arrangements, logistics for the annual conference. It often includes registration, maintaining the website, visiting facilities, working with audiovisual, selecting food. In the case of a virtual conference, maybe setting up SCED or working with the Zoom platform. And you really can work on your organizational skills. Karen Spence, one of the CPC co-chairs, has shared, personally, I value the connections I've made with fellow professionals who speak my language that I otherwise likely would not have met. I've learned skills that build my professional development and hopefully have contributed something in return. The Program Planning Committee is also involved with our annual conference. They are the ones in charge of the programming. They solicit, review, and select the content for the NASIG annual conference and work with the speakers. All of this work is completed over the course of a year. Michelle Turvey-Welch, one of our conference co-chairs, says, as a member of the PPC, you get to network with colleagues across the country who do work related to your own, connect with speakers, and play a significant role in shaping the content NASIG provides. If you'd like to come to our Madison conference or be involved in that planning, I highly recommend that you join one of these conferences. It would be a 2-year term, and you would be part of planning the Madison conference as well as planning the following conference year, which would be another virtual conference. Some of what NASIG offers virtually comes from these two committees, the Continuing Education Committee and our newer NASIG Autumn. The Continuing Education Committee organizes our regular educational webinars. We've had one a month this year, which has been amazing. They maintain the core competencies documents, and they liaise with other NASIG committees and information professionals to select the programming that is offered in those webinars. If continuing education is something that is something you would like to know more about, or you would like to network within and outside of NASIG, this would be a great committee for you to explore. Our NASIG Autumn Committee is pretty new. Our first NASIG Autumn was in 2023, and it's a mini conference that's held in October. NASIG Autumn was initially developed so that when we were having in-person conferences, we could still continue offering a conference experience for those who were unable to attend an in-person conference. NASIG Autumn is a single-track conference with shorter sessions. But on this committee, you'll get to do everything: solicit proposals, assemble a schedule, collaborate with the attendees and speakers, and work with a registrar. And a lot happens in a short amount of time, but this really packs a punch. And the nice thing about this committee is most of the work is through by about November, and then you get to relax and just send a few reports to the board and enjoy the afterglow. A couple of our committees that deal with awards and recognizing members of the community, as well as helping out with mentoring and student outreach. The Awards and Recognition Community celebrates and acknowledges people in our profession and within NASIG They are responsible for soliciting and selecting awardees for sponsored conference attendance, but they also celebrate the service of our volunteers, our co-chairs, our committee members, and our board members. The Mentoring and Student Outreach Committee recruits and mentors new members to the information profession. The chair of Mentoring and Student Outreach has shared, working on this committee has been such a great opportunity to meet people just starting their careers in our profession. They are excited and have such wonderful perspectives on the future of librarianship. It greatly increased my professional network, not only with new librarians, but with the wonderful mentors who have volunteered. One of my first NASIG experiences, I was paired with a mentor for the conference itself, and that helped me sort of learn my way around and make connections, and I thought that was just a great experience. The Digital Preservation Committee is in charge of all things digital preservation. They work to ensure that the digital scholarly content in all formats remains available to future users, something that's very important this day and age. They're always at work behind the scenes. They're not only preserving NASIG's work and documents, but they are also producing reports and best practices to the field in general. Michelle Polcho has shared, in 2018, I inquired about the work of NASIG's Digital Preservation Committee, which led to an invitation to join this impactful group. I've served as co-chair, provided knowledge sharing at NASIG's continuing education webinars and annual conferences, collaborated on a research project with an international partner, and published in NASIG's sister organization, UKSG Insights Journal. I'm very proud of the work NASIG has accomplished and also appreciate the variety of personal growth opportunities. If editing or proofreading or publishing or scholarly communications is more your talent, the two committees listed here could be of interest to you. Our newsletter committee produces the quarterly NASIG newsletter. They are in charge for reviewing, editing, and production of the newsletter. They coordinate with committees and solicit articles from the committees and the NASIG board, as well as with our sponsor liaison to include sponsorship spots. They work with the communications committee to get the newsletter out to the membership. This committee, the editor-in-chief is a 2-year term, and as positions open on the committee, they are advertised through the NASIG listserv and the blog. For conference proceedings, they prepare and publish the annual conference proceedings. Well, Michigan publishes them, but the team consists of a production editor, 2 proceedings editors, and the production assistant. They work with all our presenters and authors on their papers, as well as the copy editing and the typesetter, and they liaise with the publisher to publish NASIG's open access proceedings every year. Like the newsletter committee, the conference proceedings is not included in the annual committee call in the spring. Members on this committee also serve 2 years, and a call goes out separately. This committee does require to submit a sample of writing when that call is available and when there is an opening on the committee. The Standards Committee participates in and monitors the activities of standards-related initiatives and organizations such as NISO and Counter. Both of our standards chair and vice chair have shared their experiences. The Standards Committee consists of members from both the library and industry communities. All share a passion for standards and best practices, an interest in how to shape and adopt these changes with existing and new workflows, Matthew Trescon. And Beth Ashmore shares, it is hard to make the time for this kind of work on my own, but discussing new standards in our profession with the committee and sharing that information with the larger NASIG community is a huge boost to my professional development. This coming year, the standards will be focusing on KBART. Also, standards is one of those committees that has a slightly different term. The standards committee term is a 5-year term. And that's because oftentimes standards can take a while to enact. And that gives people on the committee a little time to sort of work with the standards or serve on a standards related community to see the standard through. Our Equity and Inclusion Committee is always identifying ways to improve the diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion within NASIG. They liaise and cooperate with other NASIG committees all the time, whether that be on selection for webinars, vision speakers for the conferences, award winners, and they also form relationships with strategic affiliates. Just this year, the Equity and Inclusion Committee nominated someone to serve as a liaison to the C4 desk, which is something new that we'll be doing this upcoming year. Evaluation and assessment is a committee that sort of runs behind the scenes to help produce, distribute, and assess our evaluation forms for the evaluation conference. And if someone has a link to that conference form, could you throw it in the chat? They liaise with the planning committees to help pick survey questions for each conference so that our attendees can offer their input on what sort of content they'd like to see in the future, what sort of content was beneficial, and offer feedback for future conferences. They produce reports for the board and for the membership, and this helps us guide us. This helps guide us for the future. Our Nominations and Elections Committee is a 1-year term. Shared from the committee, the Nominations and Elections plays an important role, not merely in establishing a fair and transparent process for the ongoing provision of leadership for the organization, but actively encourages the membership to engage more fully in that leadership, to have confidence in their talents, and to apply those to the management of NASIG. It offers anyone on it a great chance to manage an important business process, knowledge of which can be applied in various aspects of a career. Finally, it is an essential means of encouraging members of the profession to step forward into the leadership roles, both within NASIG and elsewhere, on which its future relies. The Nominations and Elections Committee is a 1-year term with a possibility of 1 reappointment. And the reason for this is we always want new people on the Nominations and Elections Committee. In the case of reappointments, at least 50% of the committee always has to be new members. And that is so we always have people who are new and offering a chance to select or help us select NASIG's leadership. All of what this committee does is confidential and stays within the committee so that we have a trustworthy and fair election every year. If behind the scenes work is more your style, bylaws or membership services might be the right place for you. Bylaws ensures that NASIG abides by its governing documents. They receive, review, notify, and educate the membership about proposed revisions or amendments. They draft wording for ballots, disseminate those ballots, and announce results of any votes regarding the bylaws. And there, I see some rah-rah in the chat for bylaws. And actually, we do have some amendments coming up within the next, several weeks. So we'll be working with bylaws to get that out to committees, and you'll sort of get to see firsthand what bylaws is doing. For membership services, this is our committee that maintains our membership database. They're responsible for making sure that members are, up to date, or if not up to date anymore, reaching out. They generate monthly reports as needed. They send a monthly report to the executive board on new memberships. And of course, if memberships are having issues with the database, they will reach out and answer questions about that and make sure that those members are having access to everything that they're supposed to. And the last committee I have on the slides here is the Communications Committee, and they keep everything whirring in the background. They are coordinating all of NASIG's communication resources. 80% of the time, if you're getting a communication from NASIG, it's coming from this committee. There are exceptions. But of course, they enable and encourage the use of electronic communications throughout NASIG. They inform us in regards to use of communications in general. They post to the NASIG website, listservs, the NASIG blog, and the social media. They also post professional communications through serial lists. Sometimes you might have seen job applications there. And of course, they also have a social media coordinator who is responsible for the external publicity of NASIG events. They're responsible for setting up the email listservs for all of the committees, the website. So they do a lot of heavy lifting, and they're always there when you need them. It's a great committee and a joy to work with them as well. So if you're interested in volunteering, we do have a volunteer form. I will paste it in the chat. Appointments typically happen in the spring. There's usually an annual call around March when we start to fill those roles. However, if you decide to volunteer in, July or August, if there's a space, we will try to get you on a committee and with, in discussion with that committee and those committee chairs. And of course, as mentioned before, you must maintain your NASIG membership status throughout the term on the committee. Again, if this is something that you want to participate in, appointments are happening right now, and you are more than welcome to sign up. You can check a few committees if something is of interest to you. If one of those is full, we can always try to get you on another one that is of interest. So take a look, check it out, and please, if you have any questions, reach out directly to me. And if you want to know more about what a committee does, I'm happy to help you with those questions. And I'm more than happy to work with that committee and let them sort of explain to you a little bit more. If you're not quite ready to make that decision, we can help you understand more about a committee. So I think I have about 5 minutes left. I know the chat's been active. I haven't been able to answer, but I think I've seen a lot of NASIG veterans sort of chiming in. So are there any questions? Hi, Brittany. I see your question. Which committees are currently open for appointments? Off the top of my head, I would say our program planning committees are always open because we like to have a very robust set of volunteers in those two. I believe we have a couple openings on membership services, but I don't know off the top of my head. And if you put all your interests in there, even if one is slightly full, we can always reach out to the chairs and say, hey, someone is interested in joining. Are you okay with that? And we can see what we can do. Hi, Lisa. I see your ENA chat. I have actually recently assigned 3 new members for EAA for 2026. But there's always room for more. Any other questions? All right, well, I think if that is, see some comments still coming in. But thank you all for attending. I know it was kind of fast, and I'm sorry we didn't have an opportunity to have more of a just kind of a come and ask discussion, but I hope it was informative. And please take a little time to read more about each committee's charge and reach out if you do have questions, and don't be afraid. NASIG is a very welcoming space, and I think it really, as someone who joined mid-career, it's really been the space where I've been allowed to blossom as a leader and as a volunteer for the first time. And yeah, so, all right. Thanks, everyone.
Amy, do you want me to share the slides? It looks like we've got a gap.
I was just gonna get the slides ready to go. It's up to you. Are you
Okay.
gonna stick around for the next one or?
I
Oh
was
dear,
just
wait,
gonna
wait.
hang out because I'm like on